Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the third of Stakeholder Forum's countdown to the UN SDG Summit 2023 series of 8 webinars in the run-up to the September 2023 SDG Summit. With the support of experts in each of the first 16 SDGs, we aim to review 2 SDGs each month from now until June 2023 in the run-up to the July 2023 United Nations High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development. The series will explore where we are in their implementation and identify transformative actions for change. The event has been organized by Stakeholder Forum for a Sustainable Future in connection with our proposed 2023 platform, an instrument to support more effective monitoring and review of the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development during the 2023 United Nations High-Level Forum Political Forum on Sustainable Development review cycle. I'm Charles Newhan, Chairman of Stakeholder Forum, and I'm your host today from New York. I'm joined today by today's moderator, Dr. David Horan, Assistant Professor at Trinity Business School, Trinity College Dublin, and advisor on Sustainable Development Goals, Partnerships, and Governance for the SDGs for Stakeholder Forum. As you can see on your screen, we have a panel of special guests who, with a diverse range of experiences and knowledge, will be introduced by David in the coming minutes. You have to forgive me for pausing. My script seems to be dipping in and out. So just pardon me for a moment. Now, a bit of housekeeping. Just for those of you who are not familiar with the Stakeholder Forum, it is an international not-for-profit NGO in consultative status with the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, commonly known as ECOSOC, since 1996. SF has, for more than 25 years, been working to advance sustainable development at all levels. We seek to provide a bridge between those who have a stake in sustainable development and the global processes where decisions are made in their name. Now, before I hand the floor over to our first speaker, there's a bit of housekeeping. Please note that the webinar is being live streamed on YouTube, and the link to the link to the recording, I should say, will be available on the Stakeholder Forum website later today. Anyone who hasn't been able to join us today will also get a link so that they can review it. As you'll see, the attendee cameras and microphones are muted, and they will remain so throughout the webinar. But there will be an opportunity for questions for attendees near the end of the experts roundtable section. And at that time, you can add questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom webinar platform. Please don't put questions in the chat section, just in the Q&A box, but we will monitor the chat section. The chat section is for you to communicate with each other, where you can post links to matters relevant to the webinar topic, and you can share your contact details with each other if you wish to. You're welcome to scroll through the questions and upvote them. That is, you vote for a question that you too would like to be addressed. That'll also help us consolidate questions and answer as many as we can in the time that we have. Apologies in advance for not being able to answer all questions due to constraints. We have more than 800 registrants for today, and we've quite a few people will be joining us live. Now, we'll begin today with introductory comments from Jan Gustav Strandenes and Dr. Nina Lansbury. One of our guests, as you can see on the screen, Ms. Gerasano, is unable to join us today, unfortunately, at the last minute.
Okay, I will now pass the floor to Dr. Ali Karnib. In light of your recent research on water and its interlinkages with other SDGs, we would be grateful for your recommendation.
Thank you, Dr. David. Thank you for all the speakers before me and also for the organizers of this interesting webinar. My talk, it will be in 3 rapid axes. I will introduce the interlinkages firstly. Then I will give some examples of the interlinkage between SDG 6 and the SDGs. And I will conclude with how to account for the interlinkages. Let me start with the introduction to the interlinkages. Achieving SDG 6 actually provides a unique opportunity to accelerate progress on all 2030 agenda. due to the central role of water in advancing human rights, reducing poverty and inequality, and enabling peace and sustainability. So, and the linkages actually between SDG 6 and the other SDGs may be considered as either, firstly, supportive. Here we are talking about synergies. Secondly, conflicting, and here we are talking about trade-offs. And also it could be neutral. There is no interlinkage at all. So informing about these interlinkages will enable policymakers to manage synergies and conflicts between policies engaged to achieve the SDGs. I have to mention also an important remark that the context of policy options are crucial for determining the nature and extent of interactions between the SDGs. Now, let me give you some examples. I will give examples of synergies between SDG 6 and other SDGs. I will select some SDGs to go rapidly. We don't have the time. And then I will give you some conflicting relationship between SDG 6 and the other SDGs. Starting with the synergies, we can, for example, the synergy with SDG 1, no poverty. You know that improving access to clean water and sanitation can reduce poverty by increasing productivity and reducing healthcare costs. Synergy, for example, synergy with SDG 2, zero hunger. Improved water management can increase agricultural productivity and food security. Synergy with SDG 3, for example, good health and well-being. Access to clean water and sanitation is essential for good health and well-being. Additionally, providing access to clean water and sanitation can help to prevent the spread of diseases and promote good hygiene. So we have actually close supportive interlinkages between water and all the SDGs. I have a list of 17 SDGs, and I can assure you that with all SDGs, we have this close relationship and these close supportive interlinkages from SDG 6 towards the other SDGs. However, since I'm originate from the Arab region, and you know the Arab region is one of the most scarce in water, that facing water scarcity in the world. And here, let me give you that also there exists a conflicting relationships or interlinkages between the SDG 6 and the other SDGs and some of the other SDGs. Here, I would give you an example, like, for example, the trade-off with SDG 13, climate change, climate action. In countries suffering from severe water scarcity, drinking water depends basically on desalination, which is fossil energy intensive. In this context, SDG 6 is in conflict with SDG 13 in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. Also, there's a trade-off with SDG 14, life below water. Within the same context of water scarcity, the heavily concentrated brine solution discharged into the sea from the desalination plant has the potential to kill marine organisms and cause damage to the marine population. So in addition, also, we can mention that withdrawing water from rivers and lakes can have negative impacts on freshwater ecosystems and the species that depend on them. So as you can see, we have supportive, we have synergies from SDG 6 toward other SDGs, but also we have conflicting relationship and trade-offs towards the other SDGs. Now, I will conclude by how to account for the interlinkages. So actually, to account for these interlinkages and ensure that progress towards SDG 6 does not come at the expense of other SDGs, there are several recommendations that can be implemented. Firstly, integrated planning. This approach considers the interlinkages between SDGs and incorporates them into planning and decision-making process. The second tool, the stakeholder engagement. Engaging with a diverse group of stakeholders, including local communities, can help to ensure that the needs and perspectives of all those affected by water and sanitation programs are taken into account. Also, we can mention monitoring and evaluation. Regularly monitoring and evaluating progress toward SDG 6 and its interlinkages with other SDGs can help to identify trade-offs and opportunities for synergy. Partnerships. Partnerships between government, private sector, and civil society organization can be used to leverage resources and expertise to achieve SDG 6 and its interlinkages with other SDGs. Finally, I would mention also the tools, toolkits and guidelines such as the Water Energy Food Ecosystem Nexus approach can also be used to assist decision makers in identifying trade-offs and synergies between SDG 6 and the other SDGs. I will stop there and thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much, Ali, for that comprehensive overview of interlinkages and potential different types of solutions to address them.